My name's Emily. I'm a 52-year-old office worker and live with my husband Tom and my mother-in-law in her family home. 2 years ago, my daughter Catherine started living on her own after getting a job, and I felt relieved, thinking that I was finally done with parenting. My husband, who adores our daughter, was initially against her living on her own when she got the job, but she couldn't commute from our home, so he reluctantly agreed. The mother-in-law I live with is a kind person who doesn't torment her daughter-in-law, but recently her legs have been weakening, and she started walking more slowly. I thought she wasn't yet in need of care, but perhaps not wanting to be a burden on us, she mentioned, maybe I should start looking for a nursing home soon. She was looking at flyers for care facilities. I told my considerate mother-in-law, I'll take care of you, so please stay here with us. However, she seemed conflicted and said, I feel bad for causing you trouble. I'm thinking of selling this house and using the money to move into a facility, but that might also be inconvenient for you. What should I do? She looked troubled. Since this house belongs to my mother-in-law, I felt we should respect her decision. You don't have to worry about us. Even if you decide to sell this house, we can find a place to live on our own. We'll be fine, I said with a smile. Certainly, a care facility might offer better amenities and perhaps be a more reassuring place for my mother-in-law. The family home is old, showing signs of wear and tear. It felt like every year some part of it needed repairs, and it seemed close to reaching its limit. When I consulted with Tom, he said, I'm fine with whatever. Mom can sell this place and move to a care facility if she wants, or she can stay here and you can take care of her. I started to get angry at Tom, who spoke about the future of his own parent as if it were someone else's problem. If we sold the family home, we'd have to find a new place to live, but it seemed like Tom wasn't even considering that. If we sell this place, where are we supposed to go? When I strongly addressed Tom, who was constantly looking at his smartphone and not taking things seriously, he snapped back. Just do what you want. Anyway, you earn more than me, so just move wherever you like. True to his words, my salary is better than Tom's. Ever since our daughter Catherine got a job and we stopped paying for her tuition, Tom hardly contributes to the household expenses and started spending his money as he pleases. Recently, he's been coming home late and often goes out alone on weekends, so I've started to become suspicious of his actions. Tom's father passed away in a traffic accident when Tom was in middle school. Since then, my mother-in-law raised them by herself, so I have deep respect for her due to the hardships she's faced. Because of that, Tom would always do whatever she said, but he never seemed particularly concerned about her future. After we got married, he left everything to me and lacked initiative in almost everything. My mother-in-law, seeing how unreliable Tom was, started discussing everything with me instead. If my mother-in-law were to move to a care facility, we'd also need to find a place for ourselves. So I started looking for suitable properties whenever I had the chance. Whenever I consult Tom, as always, he simply says, it's up to you, and nothing more. In hindsight, Tom probably had other things on his mind. It seems my mother-in-law began to notice his odd behavior too. Tom, you're not having an affair, are you? She confronted him when they were alone, thinking I was not around. What? Why would you suddenly say that? I'm not cheating on anyone. Don't say weird things. Though he denied it in a flustered manner, his panic made him appear even more suspicious. I didn't have any definitive proof of Tom's infidelity, and the fear of finding out kept me from investigating. Time just kept passing, and with the issue of our impending move, the suspicions about Tom's affair got pushed to the side. A part of me thought that if he really was cheating, then I could just live by myself in our new place. Amidst all this, I received a call from our daughter, revealing that she needed a re-examination after a health checkup. My daughter looked extremely anxious, so I said, "It's okay. After the re-examination, they'll probably find that it's nothing serious." I tried to comfort her, but deep down, I was genuinely worried. Knowing how much Tom dotes on our daughter, I decided to keep this information from him to prevent him from panicking or doing something rash. I didn't want to worry my mother-in-law either, so I asked my daughter to keep this a secret from everyone else. As my concerns shifted towards my daughter's health, my worries about Tom's suspected affair began to fade, and I stopped dwelling on it. About a month later, we received the results of my daughter's re-examination. It wasn't life-threatening, but she would need surgery. It was a relief to know she could continue working and would only need about 2 months of medical leave, but she still seemed quite anxious. "I'm really scared of undergoing surgery. During hospitalization, I can't even wear makeup, and because of the medication, my complexion might worsen. I don't want anyone visiting me, so I haven't told my friends or boyfriend." Learning about her boyfriend for the first time, I teased, "So you have a boyfriend now. You'll need to get better soon for him." She blushed, but quickly became serious and said, "Please keep this a secret from Dad. He always overreacts. I'll explain to him after I'm discharged." Indeed, Tom tends to lose perspective when it comes to our daughter. Just hearing about her hospitalization or surgery might cause him to create a fuss. I thought that if Tom heard about the surgery, he might stop his alleged affair. But for our daughter's sake, I decided not to mention anything unnecessary. Her surgery was still a while away, so I continued with my usual routine. However, I had to go on a business trip after a long time. Even though I was traveling with my mother-in-law still healthy, I believed everything at home would be okay. But I couldn't help but worry about Tom's actions. I couldn't help but think that Tom, with his infidelity suspicions, would gleefully rush to his lover once he knew I was away on a business trip. Even though I'm not sure if he's actually cheating, the very thought of him being with another person infuriated me. When I informed him about my trip, he responded casually, "That's unusual. Be careful out there." Yet I couldn't shake the feeling he was secretly celebrating. Mother-in-law laughed as she assured me, "Everything will be fine at home, so go without any worries." Given the chance, I decided to inquire about the assisted living facility. "Mother, how is the discussion about the assisted living facility going?" To my question, she replied, "I'm thinking of choosing the one we recently visited." "Is the money I asked for ready?" I had been assisting my mother-in-law by transferring money from another account to the one she usually uses. It seems she decided not to sell the family home and instead use her savings to move into a care facility, and I helped her with that. She didn't carry a lot of cash around, but she said she was nervous about moving such a large sum, so she asked me to go to the bank for her. I had a power of attorney from her, so I was able to transfer her money without any issues. I was surprised to learn how substantial her assets were. When my father-in-law passed away in a traffic accident, in addition to the life insurance, she apparently received compensation from the other party, and it seemed she intended to use that money. Having overheard our conversation, my husband looked puzzled. My mother-in-law then told him, "Since you don't help out at all, I've been asking Emily for assistance. She has greatly helped me, especially with financial matters." She spoke in an angry tone. My husband, seemingly offended by the criticism, sulked and quickly left the room, escaping our presence. It seemed like my mother-in-law hadn't explained much to him about the care facility, so all he knew was what he had heard from me. Now that my mother-in-law's care facility was decided upon, the only concern I had was my daughter's upcoming surgery. But since her hospitalization was still a ways off, I went on my business trip without much worry. When I returned from the 3-day, 2-night trip, I noticed my husband acting jittery for some reason. "Is something wrong? You seem restless," he confessed, with a resigned look on his face. "I took the money from your passbook." In a panic, I checked the drawer where I kept my passbook and card, only to find the card missing. Staring at Tom, I exclaimed, "What? That savings even had the bonus I just received." "You were going to use that money for Mom's care facility anyway, right? I know the PIN of the card. I gave it all to her," he replied with a smirk, as if trying to justify his actions. Unable to comprehend his words, "gave it all to her," I was at a loss for words when my mother-in-law, hearing the commotion, appeared. Seeing his mother, Tom looked panicked. But when she asked, "Did you do something with the money for my care facility?" he responded, "I've used the money intended for your care, so you'll have to enter the facility with the proceeds from selling this house." My mother-in-law looked just as shocked and confused by his statement. For me, the word "her" bothered me more. "Who is she? You've been cheating, haven't you?" I yelled, and in front of his mother, Tom looked even more troubled. "She's not someone I'm cheating with. She's a woman I'm dating, but we haven't talked about marriage yet." Seeing my husband hesitate, I shouted at him, "While you are married to me, you're dating another woman and you don't consider that cheating? Plus, you said you gave her all of my savings and bonus. Using my money without my permission is stealing. I'm not a thief. The money in that passbook was supposed to be for my mother's care facility fees, so it's my mother's money, right? There's no stealing between family members," he shouted back, clearly aggravated. I couldn't understand why he assumed the money in the passbook was for paying his mother's care facility. Although my husband was getting heated, my mother-in-law calmly intervened. "Tom, are you misunderstanding something? I paid for my care facility with my own money, so Emily's savings have nothing to do with it. But more importantly, were you really cheating on her?" Ignoring the question about cheating, he continued to talk about the money. "Didn't I talk to Emily about the money recently? I thought Emily was the one paying for my mother's care facility. Was I wrong?" He didn't have the same bravado as when he previously said, "I gave it all to her." Now he was seeking confirmation from his mother in a flustered manner. "Like I said, I paid for the care facility with my own money, so Emily's bank book has nothing to do with it." Realizing the truth, he laughed nervously and said, "It was just my misunderstanding. Either way, I've already given away the money. Just let it go." "Let it go? Do you even know what that money was meant for? I was planning to use it for Catherine's surgery and living expenses during her hospitalization." Gazing at Emily, all he could mutter was, "What?" Neither Tom nor the mother-in-law knew about Catherine's surgery, so both were in shock. The mother-in-law rushed towards Emily in concern. "What's wrong with Catherine? Why didn't you tell me?" Trying to calm the agitated mother-in-law, I slowly explained Catherine's surgery situation. When she heard it wasn't a life-threatening condition, she seemed relieved and sank to the floor. Tom, too, appeared relieved. Seeing Tom's reaction, anger welled up inside me. "After stealing money meant for our daughter, you dare to look relieved? I planned to give that money to Catherine, knowing she just started working and might need it. Aren't you ashamed to give it to your mistress as her father?" I shouted at him. Seemingly angered as well, my mother-in-law said, "You really are a pathetic man, handing over your daughter's surgery money to your mistress? I can't even think of you as my son anymore. If that bank book was so important, you should have kept it safe. If it's just lying around, anyone would think it's okay to use." Hearing Tom's poor excuse, the mother-in-law became even angrier. "Instead of making such excuses, apologize to Emily now. Not just for taking the bank book, but also for your affair." Chided by the mother-in-law, Tom turned pale, looked at me, and slowly bowed deeply to apologize. "I'm sorry for taking the bank book without permission." A bit exasperated, I responded, "You don't have to force an apology. Since you confessed to the affair yourself, I'll be sure to take compensation. Let's discuss the rest through lawyers." I began gathering my belongings. Tom didn't try to stop me, but the mother-in-law approached instead. "On behalf of my son, I apologize, Emily. I'm so sorry. I'll repay the money Tom stole. Please use it for Catherine's surgery expenses." She kept apologizing multiple times. "There's no need for you to apologize. After all, it was Tom who took the bank book." But she wouldn't listen. "I wasn't planning to give all the money in the bank book to my daughter, Catherine. Given that I might need to take a break from work, I believed it was always good to have extra money on hand. It wasn't just about the amount, but the act of stealing someone else's money and giving it to a lover was unforgivable." The mother-in-law seemed to understand this, and while laughing, she said, "If you leave here, I'll dispose of this house and give the money to Emily. You must also take proper compensation from Tom." True to her word, the mother-in-law sold the family home and gave me the proceeds. When she moved into a care facility, she also made me the beneficiary of her life insurance. If I don't return the money that Tom took from Emily, I won't be able to rest in peace. She seemed to be joking, but I would end up receiving far more than what my husband had taken. The divorce proceedings with my husband finished, and I arranged to receive the compensation in monthly installments. Since the family home was sold, my husband lost his place to live. He seemed to have tried to live with his lover, but apparently she promptly refused. It seems that the affair was just a fling for the other woman, while Tom had been free to spend his salary however he wanted until now. He can't continue to spend it all on his mistress anymore. On top of that, since he has to pay me compensation, his take-home pay will decrease even more. After separating from me and gaining his freedom, he got dumped by his mistress and seems to be living a lonely life. I started living with my daughter, Catherine. Her surgery was successful and she returned to work as lively as before. Whenever we have time, Catherine and I make an effort to visit my mother-in-law at her care facility. When Catherine visits, my mother-in-law always seems happy, so I think it's best to let them meet as often as possible. Even though Tom and I have separated and technically my mother-in-law has become a stranger, she will always be Catherine's grandmother, so I want to maintain a good relationship with her. After the surgery, it seems Catherine and her boyfriend are doing well. They might be getting married soon. I'd love for my mother-in-law to see Catherine in her wedding dress and even hold a great-grandchild someday.
I just got dumped by my fiancé. It seems he has someone else he likes. Even though it's Christmas Eve, I wondered if such a thing could really happen. I didn't even get a chance to give him the present I had prepared.
I'm sorry, but I really want to end things with you. Please, forget about me. Goodbye.
After he told me this, I became sad. I then plodded along home. Everyone seemed to be happily watching the Christmas lights and laughing. Lovers, couples, families, everything looked so nice and warm. I felt as if I was the only person alone in the world. I am Alice, a 28-year-old woman. I live in the city and enjoy a reasonable amount of freedom. Even though I was about to get married, I am gloomy now because my fiancé dumped me. I feel so sad that it seems like there can't possibly be another woman in the world who feels the same way as I do. I thought about how I had already told my parents that I would be getting married soon. I wonder what kind of reaction I would get from them if I told them that I was dumped by my fiancé. It would be quite disappointing for them if their daughter, who was at the right age to get married, got dumped at this point. I decided to forget about him and live my life. That was the only choice I had. But there was no other way to distract from all the sadness I've been feeling. So I worked hard until the end of the year. That's when I got a message from my sister, Jessica. She's my elder sister, whom I don't really like, since she's always been condescending and mean. I've really hated her since I was a child. You broke up with George, didn't you? Yeah, I did. Well, I took him from you. Sorry I stole him. What? When I asked him out, he agreed. My attractiveness must have gotten to him. That's mean, Jessica. Why would you even do that? Because a handsome guy who graduated from Harvard is too good for you. Don't get cocky. You're dumb and ugly. I'm not that ugly and I'm not that stupid. Huh? Don't talk back when you're at the bottom. Jessica has always taken my boyfriends. Even the boyfriend I was dating in high school, she took him away from me just because he was handsome. She also took away one of my ex, who was rich. I'm not particularly interested in handsome or rich guys. Sure, it's nice to have a handsome, wealthy guy as a status, but their personality is the most important thing for me. George, who I was dating, was kind to me and interesting to talk to. As Jessica said, he's an intellectual who graduated from Harvard, so he had a lot of knowledge. But Jessica probably targeted George because he's handsome and educated at a prestigious university, as she's always done. I've decided to cut ties with Jessica. I don't want to deal with someone who is this crazy anymore. I'm fed up with being treated like this all the time, so let's cut ties. Huh? I'll do that for you with pleasure. Alright, then we won't contact each other anymore. Goodbye. Bye-bye. And so I cut ties with Jessica. I really wanted to have a good relationship with my sister, but it's impossible. I've been harassed so much that there's no way I could start to like her now. I doubt Jessica's personality can be changed at this point. So I thought it couldn't be helped. And then I met a wonderful man. He was someone I started dating, and I met him through our mutual friend. His name is Fred. Fred was a sharp-minded and quick-witted individual. And with his variety of topics, I was never bored when we were together. I always thought he was such a wonderful man. Every date was comfortable in the best possible way. As I spent time with Fred, I started thinking that I'd like to marry him. And it seems Fred felt the same. One day, Fred proposed to me. And so, we got married. Of course, I didn't invite my sister to our wedding. She probably wouldn't have come even if I had invited her, and I didn't want her there. Our relatives, who knew how weird and crazy my sister was, didn't say a word. After that, we began living in our new home. We had lively discussions about what to do for Christmas this year and how to spend the New Year's holidays. Fred seemed to be thinking of something for me.
Alice, didn't you mention before that you wanted to go to Hawaii?
Yes, I have been wanting to go, but I haven't been able to. It's a major tourist spot.
I see. Then let's go to Hawaii for New Year's. I've been wanting to spend time in a warmer place.
You're right. Even LA has been cold recently with the snow.
Since it's a special occasion, let's stay in a nice place and enjoy ourselves and splurge a bit.
That sounds wonderful. Let's do it. And so we decided to go to Hawaii. We even booked a Hilton for our hotel and decided to splurge for New Year's. After taking off from LA and arriving in Hawaii, we were surrounded by warm weather. Well, actually, it was hot. The highest temperature that day was 78 degrees and it felt almost like summer. With the realization that we were indeed in a tropical place, the bellboy had said he would carry our luggages to our room. And in our room, we took out our swimsuits and headed straight to the beach that was right in front of our hotel. Wow, what a beautiful ocean. It's so clear.
It's amazing. I haven't seen such a beautiful ocean in a long time.
Hey, do you think this swimsuit looks weird? Does it stand out?
No, it suits you great. I'll take a photo.
Like typical tourists, we took photos. Then we went swimming in the ocean and relaxed and had an enjoyable time. Feeling hungry, we were thinking about where to have lunch when I heard a somewhat familiar voice. Oh my, if it isn't my underprivileged little sister. What? Jessica? What is a lowly educated poor person like you doing in Hawaii? My husband brought me here. Huh, I see. As I was wondering when she got married and who her husband was, her husband in question showed up. He had a drink in his hand.
Hey, we meet again.
George.
Oh, do you know each other?
It's hard to say this, but he's my ex-fiancé. Remember, I told you about it.
Oh yeah, you did mention something like that.
So my sister's husband was George. They must have gotten married after that then. Sure, George earns a lot and can afford to stay in a nice suite. But my sister, who doesn't earn that much herself, flaunts her husband's earnings as if it's hers. She's such an unpleasant person. And then she started looking down on me. It seems she couldn't stand us staying in the same Hilton hotel. It's billions of years too early for you to be staying at the Hilton. Why don't you low-income people spend the night somewhere around here instead? Excuse me? Oh, you just graduated from some technology institute or something, didn't you? Only stupid people would go to places like that. What kind of a science girl are you when you're on the same level as the stupid people? Oh, please, don't make me laugh. No, I never said anything like that. I'm a science girl. And technology institutes are perfectly respectable institutions, too. You shouldn't really discriminate people like that. And I... What? How dare you talk back to me? That's when my husband Fred came to my defense.
No, Alice has an impressive educational background, so please, don't call her uneducated. Huh? What about Alice isn't uneducated? She just graduated from some technology institute. I even forgot the name of the institute she graduated from. You see, I graduated from the famous Harvard University. It's the #1 place to go to in the world for education. After George burst out laughing, Fred's face went serious, and he said, Huh, you don't know about the #1 in the universe, do you? What? What the hell are you laughing about? You thought Alice was just some Institute of Technology grad? Alice graduated from MIT. What?
Huh?
Didn't you know this, Jessica, when you're her sister and George when you were her ex-fiancé?
But I just heard it was some technical school. And she said her university was located in North or something.
That's MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Oh, I didn't know that. All I heard was some M something or other tech school. That's MIT, right? That's the English abbreviation for the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That's... According to the QS World University Rankings, MIT has been the top university for 11 consecutive years. Although, in other rankings, there's Oxford. Ugh. So, you've been looking down on Alice all this time without even knowing that about her? Was studying the only thing you were good at? My wife is very good at what she does, and I'm really proud of her.
As soon as Fred said that, Jessica and George blew up in anger, and they were both shouting angrily. There were so many people in Hawaii, so a lot of people were looking at them as if they were crazy people. They all seemed to be wondering what was going on. So what? You're probably uneducated, aren't you? Don't try to brag using Alice's education, you loser.
That's right. Are you trying to act superior using your own wife's education? Not really.
What university did you even graduate from? You're probably from the bottom of the barrel, right?
Huh? I'm from Harvard Medical School. Well, basically the medical department. Harvard is Harvard, so I guess I'm the same as you, George. What?
What did you just say?
And of course, I got my medical license there. What did you say?
What? Alice, your husband is a doctor? Actually, Fred is a doctor. Due to his busy schedule, he doesn't get much time off. So around New Year's, he wanted to travel abroad so that we could both enjoy together. Wait a minute. George, you're losing compared to him. He's a doctor and you're just a corporate worker.
Huh? You're calling me just a corporate worker? I earn $120,000 per year.
But I'm envious, you know. I wanted a much richer man. Don't be such a show-off when you're just earning $120,000 per year.
Don't mess with me. Be grateful that I'm married to you, who's just a part-timer in her 30s. Like that, Jessica and George started to argue. Jessica started to belittle George because she felt that Fred, my husband, earned more. Indeed, as a practicing doctor, Fred was earning quite a lot, around $350,000 per year. But even George, as a corporate worker, was making a good income. $120,000 is not an amount that could easily be earned by anyone. Yet Jessica was attacking George based on the grass is greener on the other side theory. I thought it was hypocritical of her to brag about her high-income husband a while ago, even though she was working part-time ever since she graduated from college. She had been calling me uneducated and low income, but I wanted to ask her about herself. Jessica did not graduate from a not-so-prestigious university, nor is she an employee of a major company, but she simply looked down on me just because she didn't like me. The reason she didn't know until now that I graduated from MIT was simply just because of her assumption she had towards me. I wanted to go into science, so I knew I wanted to go to a university that had an engineering department. Among them, this university was particularly calling out to me. I studied every single day in order to get acceptance from this university. Then I became a student at MIT 1 year later than all my other peers. I studied so much for the SATs. With SATs, I had spent a year preparing to get into MIT, so Jessica thought I was a shut-in who can't belong into society. Then I went to MIT, but Jessica seemed to think that I was her pathetic little sister who had wasted her time and only got accepted to a bottom-of-the-barrel technical college.
Jessica didn't talk much to our parents, so she probably had misunderstood this whole time. Normally, she wouldn't think about such a thing, but Jessica is selfish and doesn't listen to anyone.
Oh, I'm hungry. Let's go eat somewhere nearby.
Yes, let's leave these people and go somewhere. Wait, won't you be with me?
Huh?
Hey, Mr. Doctor, my heart is pounding. Is something wrong? Can you check me?
No,
Jessica hugged Fred. Fred was clearly uncomfortable. At that moment, another man passed by and yelled at them.
Hey there, sir! Stop! Stop! Huh? What are you doing to my honey? She's my sweetie.
John!
Huh? What's going on? I'm John. I live here and this woman is mine. Are you okay? Hey, this woman is my wife. Huh? Your wife? She's my woman. We had a good time together yesterday. Exciting. Hey, what do you mean?
I'm sorry. Actually, yesterday, while you weren't here, I was at his house.
She's got a beautiful body. How thrilling. You son of a... How dare you cheat on me?
I'm sorry, I just got carried away. I wondered if she had lost her mind. It seemed that Jessica had been having an affair with this local Hawaiian man named John. I wondered why she would do something like this even when they came to Hawaii for the new year. Fred and I just watched them in disgust. George, of course, with his attitude, had been spewing insults and looking down at John. But John didn't back down either. It turned into an aggressive verbal argument, and because George threatened him, the police was called on him. And then they were all taken away by the police. They all looked scared, being taken by the police. Even a slight threat can lead to police involvement or being sued. And if you anger the police, they might even resort to using a weapon. I thought George would have known this, but I guess he forgot. Then Fred and I decided to go back to the Hilton, get dressed up, and then go to a restaurant. The meals and dishes were all very delicious, and I was so hungry that I ate them all. I saw Jessica at the Hilton, but she looked really worn out. She was wandering around, dragging her feet as if she had seen a real ghost. Then it seems that Jessica got divorced. Of course, she was apparently asked to pay compensation by George for the damages she caused. To be honest, I thought she got what she deserved. Jessica, who had always belittled me and made fun of me, should just go to hell. She said she had no money because she had to pay for compensation, and cried to me. But of course, I ignored her plea for help. Jessica even changed her phone number just to call me. I think she's counting on Fred's money now. If she has the time to do such things, she should work more seriously. And she should swear in her life to never make fun of others ever again. I heard from a mutual friend that George was hospitalized due to stress. I don't know what happened after that. From now on, I plan to work hard at my job and house chores to enjoy life with Fred.
Starting today, I'm the wife of the president.
Then my younger sister hugged my husband's arm.
Oh, po big sis. I wonder who would ever want an old, divorced hag like you. Your life is over. Plain women like you just can't compete with young, cute girls like me. Life is cruel, isn't it?
My sister had an affair with my husband, who is the president of the company. When I gave my pledge for alimony, she said, "My new husband will pay." She signed it without hesitation. Ah, my silly sister. I purposefully placed my hand on my chin and said to her, "But, Paying such a high amount of damages is going to be tough. Will it be okay? Your man will be unemployed from tomorrow.
Cat?
My name is Emily Johnson, a housewife working in the apparel industry. I and my husband, Tom, were university classmates and were in the same management department. My first impression of Tom was that he is just a scary man. The fact that he had stayed in school twice gave him a somewhat older feel. Moreover, he had a stern face and was taciturn. Because of this, it was doubtful that he had a friend, let alone a girlfriend. At first, I had no particular involvement with him, but by chance, we ended up in the same seminar. Upon talking to him there, I found out that he was surprisingly good-natured and talkative. From that point on, he became friendly with the other seminar students, and he and I became especially close, eventually leading to a relationship. Now, we have been married for 5 years, and we even work together. One day, we were attending a cousin's wedding. She was like a sister I had been close to since childhood, and when Tom and I got married, we told her right after our parents. The ceremony was very bright, luxurious, and moving. However, there was one thing that bothered me at that venue. It was the presence of my sister, Catherine. It's my cousin's wedding, so it's not strange or acceptable for my younger sister to be there. But Catherine and I do not get on well. Rather, I had been unilaterally harassed by Catherine, which was traumatic for me. Catherine is only 1 year younger than me, but as the youngest, she has been spoiled by our parents and grandparents since she was a child. On top of that, she has a beautiful face and has always been popular with boys. However, I was the one who got a boyfriend first. For Catherine, it was unforgivable that I, who was not so good-looking, had a boyfriend before her. And so, Catherine stole my boyfriend. Boys of that age can easily be swayed if a cute girl approaches them. Looking back now, I can understand that, but having it done by my sister hurt quite a bit. Moreover, the harassment wasn't just once. It seemed that Catherine enjoyed tearing me and my boyfriends apart, and whenever I had a new boyfriend, she would steal him or spread false rumors, using every means possible to break us up. If such things continued, it was only natural that I would stop telling Catherine about any close male friends. Therefore, I never directly introduced Tom to her, and I didn't invite Catherine to our wedding. My cousin didn't know about this, but luckily, Catherine and I were not seated close to each other. I made up my mind to go home and not interact with Catherine after this ceremony. But after the ceremony, she approached me.
Long time no see, sis. It was really a great wedding today, wasn't it?
Yes, it was really nice. As always, Catherine spoke to me with a smile that seemed to look down on others. I wanted to get away from this place as quickly as possible. If I kept listening to her, nothing good would come of it.
Speaking of weddings, why didn't you invite me to yours? You haven't even introduced me to your husband. I heard from a friend that he's the president.
Who told her such unnecessary information? Catherine glanced at Tom, who was waiting a short distance away, and smirked. She's at it again without learning her lesson. I don't want to go through the same thing as before ever again. I glared at Catherine and hardened my voice. That's right. Tom is the president of my company. And if you try to interfere in any way, I will never forgive you. Catherine returned my words with a smirk, saying, "Oh, you are scary."
I know that taking away every important person from you was a foolish act of youth. I'm truly sorry. Now I'm an adult too. I sincerely wish for your happiness, sis.
Saying so, Catherine approached Tom to greet him lightly and then left the venue. A few months later, while I was looking at my computer at work, my colleague Ellie, who had just returned from an outing, called out to me.
Hey, I have something to talk about. Is now a good time?
The seriousness of her face made me uneasy. Had there been a problem with a client or customer as soon as she got back to the office? I took a deep breath to stay calm, no matter what she was going to say, and asked, "What happened?"
I want you to be prepared. Look at this.
Saying so, Ellie showed me something on her smartphone. The picture displayed was of a man and a woman walking arm in arm, looking quite friendly. It was Tom and Catherine. I had been expecting it to be a work-related matter, so the shock of the photo was tremendous. Memories of the past came flooding back. I can't stop breaking into a cold sweat. I feel like I'm going to throw up.
I know this is really sudden and confusing, but I saw it by chance, and I couldn't just keep quiet about it.
Ellie, perhaps worried about how pale I looked, gently pats my back and says, "Sorry, are you okay?" I muster up a smile and reply, "I'm fine."
So, what are you going to do about Tom? You can't just let it go on like this, right?
After some thought, I tell Ellie, "Can you leave it with me for now? I have something in mind." One of the reasons I married Tom was because I thought there was a low chance of him cheating. He's never been popular with women due to his stern looks, and although he's now the boss, we worked together. I thought there was no room for him to cheat. I really want to confront Tom right now. But the only evidence is the photo Ellie showed me. Besides, there's a good chance that Catherine is deliberately tempting him again. In any case, I decide to have Tom and Catherine investigated by a detective. A few days later, the detective handed me photos of Tom and Catherine entering and exiting a love hotel and even, shockingly, getting intimate in the company car. I feel as though I've been betrayed by Tom all over again. I decided to gather evidence myself, and at one opportunity, I looked at Tom's smartphone. There, I found messages that definitively proved his infidelity with Catherine. But the approach always comes from Catherine. In other words, just as before, Catherine successfully seduced and groped Tom. This was a bit different from ordinary cheating. No matter how I looked at it, Catherine was the one at fault. I reassured myself with this thought, and planned to subtly confirm with Tom if he was cheating, and if he apologized sincerely, I would give him a stern warning and forgive him. That night, while having dinner with Tom, I began the conversation as if talking about something on TV. Recently, there's been a lot of news about celebrity affairs, hasn't there? I wonder why people cheat so easily?
Who knows? Maybe the entertainment world is full of attractive people that catch your eye? I don't really know, though.
For now, there's nothing particularly suspicious about Tom's response or behavior. Maybe I should probe a little deeper. Tom, you've been coming home late sometimes recently, but you're not cheating on me, are you? The moment I said that, Tom's chopsticks paused for an instant, and he exclaimed, "Huh?" But then he quickly resumed eating. He swallowed his food and replied to me,
You know better than anyone that I'm not popular because of this face, don't you? And the reason I've been late recently is because I've been taking employees out for drinks, or have been invited to dinner by clients. Perhaps, being a man, I get approached more casually than you ladies.
That's not a real answer. He's saying something that sounds plausible, but neither confirms nor denies anything. I subtly asked a few more times, but towards the end, Tom started to snap back.
Enough already! What is this all about? Even if I were cheating, I'm working hard as the president, so forgive me once or twice.
Humph. So that's the attitude he's going to take. Well, I don't care anymore. A few days later, I had called Catherine to a cafe. As I sat and waited, Catherine entered the store, and as soon as she saw me, she directed an annoying smile my way.
Sorry to keep you waiting. How have you been?
She's as irritating as ever. I know I called you here, but I don't plan on wasting time with idle chatter. Can you sign this?" Saying that, I pulled a written agreement out of my bag. The agreement stated that she would pay a consolation fee of $35,000.
What's this? Have I done something that warrants paying a consolation fee?
I told you, I don't plan on wasting time with idle chatter. I've known about your affair with Tom for a long time, and I have all the evidence. I'm going to divorce Tom, but I'm not going to let you get away with it for free. If you can't sign this, then we're in for a full-on battle from now on. The word divorce elicited a reaction from Catherine.
Oh, you're leaving him, huh? Are you sure about this? You won't be the president's wife anymore, you know. Okay, I'll sign this. Tom is crazy about me, so I'm sure he'll pay me alimony instead. From today on, I'll be the president's wife. Oh, Poe's sister. Who will ever deal with a divorced, old hag like you? Your life is over. Plain women like you can never beat young and cute ones like me. Life is so cruel.
With those words, Catherine signed the agreement and left the cafe. Later in the day, Tom and I got divorced. Of course, I claimed a consolation fee of $35,000 from him, just as I did from Catherine. I also demoted Tom from president to an ordinary employee. Probably guessed by now, it was me and Ellie who set up this apparel company. Now, we hold the positions of owner and chairman, respectively. For convenience, we have separated the positions, but basically we too are in a consultative role. To the president. In the early days of the company, we were often looked down upon by business partners for being new and being female entrepreneurs. So we thought we might need to hire a male president, and at the time, Tom, who I was dating, was considering changing jobs. Tom was decently graded in business school and had the basic knowledge, so it worked out. Furthermore, he was trustworthy, and his stern appearance was quite useful in various situations. So between Ellie and me, the idea came up that Tom would be a good candidate for the role of a hired president. When I discussed this with Tom, he readily agreed.
It's definitely better for one's mental health to work among trustworthy people than under strangers.
He even said. With that, Tom and I got married. Ellie and I were considering having children eventually, and we wanted to take long-term leaves like maternity leave, so having a reliable man in a responsible position was reassuring. But who would have thought it would come to this? When I told Tom about his demotion to a regular employee, he said he would quit. If that's the case, can you pay the consolation fee all at once? Otherwise, I'll have to tell your parents about what happened, won't I? Upon hearing this, Tom was at a loss for words. Tom had been pretty much disowned by his parents due to repeating a year in college, and if they found out about this incident, they would undoubtedly disown him. Moreover, Tom hardly had any savings. It seemed true that he was taking employees out for drinks and always treating them. He also bought several brand-name suits and dined at expensive restaurants to maintain a presidential appearance and demeanor. Therefore, if he has to pay the consolation fee all at once, he would have no choice but to consult his parents. If he doesn't want that, he'll have to work as a regular employee at our company. Since our company has only a few dozen employees, news of this incident spread quickly. So Tom ended up working for the minimum wage, receiving disdainful looks from the surrounding employees until he finished paying the consolation fee. Most of his salary is spent on alimony to me, so it's almost like working for free. On the other hand, Catherine called me when she heard about Tom's devastation.
Hey, why is Tom a regular employee now? Wasn't he the president? Even if you can, Demote someone to a regular employee. Demoting yourself is just absurd, isn't it?
This was the first time I had seen Catherine so upset. I felt truly happy from the bottom of my heart. I told you when we were at my cousin's wedding, didn't I? He is the president of my company. Ah, I guess you are younger and cuter than me, but uneducated. Maybe you can't understand English. I'll explain it in a way that's easy for you to understand. Tom was the hired president of the company I founded. Yep, it's no wonder you can't understand. Our standard score were more than 30 points apart in both high school and college. Did you know? It is said that it's hard for two people with a 30-point difference in standard score to have a conversation. Oh, but you aren't human, are you? You are just a sexually frustrated and jealous female monkey. Upon hearing this, Catherine said, "Grr," over the phone. Was she really a monkey? I had sensed for some time that Catherine was jealous of me, and that this was the cause of her harassment. Although Catherine had indeed been spoiled by her parents, it was always me who received praise. The parents might not have meant any harm, but Catherine always seemed to be resigned to being just the youngest. That said, the reason I was praised was because of my hard work. I have no obligation to understand or forgive Catherine's jealousy. Afterward, Catherine apparently lost interest in Tom, who was no longer the president, and broke up with him. However, it seems that she understands that she must pay the compensation now that she has signed the pledge. She has sold all of her household goods and branded bags, things she had made men buy for her, and moved to a rundown apartment. Now she's working in a nightclub every day, even though the pledge I created might be rendered void if she consults a lawyer. She can't even think of that. Several years later, after Tom had finished paying the compensation, Emily and Ellie fired him for using the company car for personal affairs. The look on Tom's face when he was dismissed was a mix of relief from the judgmental stares of those around him and despair at losing his job at his age.
My daughter is joining the company, so I need you to resign. Today is your last day.
It was on the morning of the 20th that I was suddenly told by the president that I was fired. Huh? But I was surprised and at a loss for words. The 20th was the payment day to our suppliers. Although there were bank transfers for some long-standing suppliers, I would go and make direct payments, also serving as a courtesy call.
You look like you can go home right away. I'll give you the day off especially for you, so leave quickly.
I was pushed forcefully from behind out of the office, and the door was shut with a snap right in front of my nose. I had no idea where to start objecting. My name is Emily. I joined this family-owned paving company right after high school and have been a clerical worker for 10 years. Or rather, I should say I was a clerical worker until just now. There were about 20 employees, and when the current chairman was the president, the workplace atmosphere was good, and it was a very easy company to work for. Even the chairman, who has now retired from the field, used to work proactively with the younger employees, and Catherine, his wife, would come to the company every day to handle miscellaneous tasks until the chairman was hospitalized. Kelly, their daughter, was a versatile person who could handle both field and office work, and her husband, as the site manager, was trusted by the employees who worked on site. Just because they were the founding family, nobody acted haughty or looked down on the employees. It would have been nice if the enjoyable and trouble-free company life had continued as it was, but unfortunately, reality was not so sweet. At the end of last year, cancer was discovered in the chairman during the company's group medical examination, and he decided to retire as president, appointing Kelly's husband, the site manager, as the next president. Both myself and the other employees unanimously agreed. Everyone agreed that the chairman should focus on treatment and that they wanted him to live a long life. However, suddenly the chairman's eldest son, Tom, who I didn't know where he heard the news from, appeared with his family. It seems that the chairman had another child besides Kelly. Tom had been disowned about 30 years ago, and I didn't know about it at all. According to the senior employees, Tom was a notorious bad guy in his youth, and he was often in trouble with the police. Whenever he caused problems, it seemed that the chairman and Catherine would go and apologize. After dropping out of high school, he started engaging in multi-level marketing and fraudulent-like activities, and the chairman finally disowned him. Despite having been out of touch for a long time, Tom suddenly showed up one day, shouting,
"Dad, I was wrong all this time. Forgive me,"
and pleaded before the chairman. I was shocked. Since the company was small and there was only one room for both the president's office and the clerical room, I witnessed the whole thing and remember it well. Tom said that he wanted to let bygones be bygones and work together in the company. But I think that's not a phrase to be said by someone who's been disowned.
"I apologize to everyone, but I beg you, I want you to give Tom one more chance."
Kelly and the veteran employees seemed unable to fully rejoice since they knew about Tom's past, but no one could refuse when the chairman pleaded like that. Thus, Tom's family came to live in the annex of the chairman's house, and Tom became an employee, while his wife took charge of the household chores as a housewife. The daughter seemed to be a college student, and I only saw her once when she came to the company. The chairman said,
"Having struggled in the world, Tom must have become decent now."
Catherine was also crying with joy that Tom had come back with his family. They were talking about building up the company together from now on. But then, a problem arose. Tom insisted,
"I'm the eldest son, so I should be the next president."
And the relationship with Kelly and the site manager became strained. In front of the chairman, he pretended to work hard, but in reality, he did nothing. He kept making power harassment-like comments such as,
"Physical labor is what the workers do,"
and
"You are worker ants. Work in silence."
He was quickly disliked by everyone. Some of the younger employees even went directly to the chairman to say,
"I can't work like this."
But both the chairman and Catherine only pleaded and said,
"We will scold Tom, so please look at this with a longer perspective."
Then, whether due to stress or something else, the chairman's cancer suddenly worsened, and he was hospitalized 3 months ago. Then Tom declared,
"I am the president."
The employees advised the chairman and Catherine to make the site manager the president as originally planned, but in the end they chose Tom, their blood relative, over their daughter's husband. Some people even started to grumble, saying things like,
"They're blinded by parental love," or "They've become senile."
The once harmonious and joyful atmosphere of the company completely changed, and it became all tense and awkward. Everyone thought that things couldn't continue like this, and finally, Kelly started to take action with the site manager behind the scenes. Consequently, I ended up being the only one handling the company's administrative tasks. Until now, it was Catherine, Kelly, and me, so I could leave on time. But now I have to work overtime every day. It's not unusual for the date to change before I leave. Even so, Tom seems to think that administrative work is just a leisurely task. The president himself spends his time going to hostess bars during the day or going out to bet on horse races or go gambling. My relationship with the president deteriorated dramatically due to an issue with an expense. He used the company's credit card for his private dining and entertainment expenses, and to some extent I have been turning a blind eye to it. But this time, it was at an unacceptable level. I braced myself for his anger and handed the receipt back to the president. "This expense cannot be approved."
"What? Why?"
"This is your wife's corrective underwear. It has nothing to do with the business, so it cannot be expensed." As expected, the president's face turned red with anger.
"Don't mess with me. She's the president's wife. It's only natural for her to dress up. It's an expense."
"No, but it's underwear." And your wife isn't an employee either, I stammered in reply, wondering how the president could think that a $4,000 expense for his wife's corrective underwear could possibly be justified as a business expense. What he said next was even more incomprehensible to me.
Then let's make the sale of corrective underwear our new business venture. That way it will be considered a purchase, so it's an expense.
The president looked smug as if he had come up with a brilliant idea, but I was dumbfounded. We are a paving company.
So what? We can tell our clients that if they don't buy from us, we'll cut off their contracts. Everyone will buy. We'll make a fortune. $2,000 for one, $4,000 for a set. It's an easy business.
The president laughed loudly, but I was horrified. That's absolutely unacceptable. It will cause a credibility issue. In my anger, I snapped at him, and from that moment on, I became the target of the president's disdain. From that day forward, I was constantly berated by the president. It was so hard that I considered quitting many times, but I continued to endure and work, motivated by my desire to help the chairman, who had taken care of me, and my concern that everyone else would be in trouble if I left. The reality was, I would be in trouble too if I suddenly lost my job. I thought I would just endure it until I was ready to move on, but then I was abruptly fired. If I quit suddenly now, it will cause trouble for our clients. I took a deep breath and opened the door. I can't do this. I can't just quit on such short notice. Without any handover, even your daughter can't do the work. Besides, today is the payment day. I said all this in one breath, expecting the president to become furious. As I thought, the president's face turned red with rage.
Shut up. I told you to quit because my daughter is joining the company. Today is your last day. As for the payment, just let them wait until they come to collect it. There's no need to pay them proactively.
Excuse me? Isn't it normal to pay for something once you buy it? I was so taken aback that I explained it like I would to a child, only for the president to say something so unreasonable that I couldn't believe he was a rational adult.
If that's the case, just threaten to change to another supplier. Tell them we won't go to make the payment this time, so they should give it to us for free.
What? That's not something we can do, is it? I was so flabbergasted that I was at a loss for words.
You're utterly useless. My daughter has a college degree. She can easily do office work. Since she's family, she won't complain about what I buy. Unlike you, who's all talk and no action, we don't need someone like you in our company. Get out now.
In other words, the president is probably thinking that by having his daughter handle the accounting, he can easily write off his personal expenses as company expenses. Oh, is that so? Just remember, I won't regret it. It's hopeless. Words are no longer effective. My patience has finally run out. I gathered my personal belongings and left the company in a hurry. But still, I felt bad for our clients. I called Kelly. I knew Catherine was busy nursing the chairman, and Kelly was also occupied, but this was an emergency. I explained the situation and left the rest to Kelly. Once I left the company, I suddenly found myself with nothing to do. Being fired without notice is a clear violation of the labor standards law. If I report it to the labor standards office, they are done for. Since our company was enrolled in the middle company payment system, I can claim my severance pay and 1 month's salary. The middle company payment system is a government severance pay system for small and medium-sized enterprises, a strong ally for companies that can't prepare severance pay on their own. But I don't need to rush the process since I can apply within 5 years from the date of retirement, and the statute of limitations for the Labor Standards Office is 2 years. Due to my professional habits in office work, I calculated the necessary procedures and schedule for retirement and concluded that I could take it easy for at least a week. Lately, I've been constantly working overtime and on weekends, unable to do anything at home. And there are many places I wanted to visit once I settled down. So I decided to go on a day trip to the beach. After refreshing myself at the beach, I checked my smartphone in the locker and found several missed calls, emails, and voicemails. Checking the email, I found a message from Kelly saying, "The payment went smoothly. Everything is prepared." I was relieved. Even though the president suddenly told me to quit, I felt guilty for leaving my job in anger. Next, I listened to the voicemail from the company. It was the panicked voice of the president saying,
Hey, what's going on? You're saying I'm not the real president? Did you know this? Explain yourself properly.
Has he finally realized? What a stupid president. I couldn't help but smirk. Then I checked my emails and voicemails one by one, listened to a voicemail from the chairman, and promptly decided to go to the hospital. When I arrived at the chairman's hospital room in the evening, not only was Catherine there, but the president was there as well. As soon as the chairman saw me, he abruptly greeted me on the bed.
Emily, I'm truly sorry for my foolish son. Hey, what's going on? I'm not the official president? Explain yourself.
Tom was arrogantly shouting, unable to grasp the situation, but the chairman quickly shouted him down.
You, be quiet.
It seems that right after I called Kelly, she immediately contacted the chairman and Catherine. Upon hearing this, the chairman hurriedly called Tom, the president, and asked,
Don't you really know anything? So what's going on?
I calmly spilled the beans to the president, who was shouting without understanding the situation, saying, "Basically, Tom, you had no legal influence. You were a president in name only. It might be a confusing and unclear story without knowledge, but president is a term that indicates a role within the company, not a role defined by law. The one who represents the company and has external responsibility is the representative director, and it is entirely different from a mere president. The title of president alone can be freely changed within the company, but to change the representative director, complex procedures are necessary, and it's quite a hassle. 3 months ago, when it was decided that Tom would become president, there was intense opposition from Kelly, the site manager, and veteran employees. So I proposed a method to make Tom a nominal president, while keeping the chairman as the representative director. As a clerk, I knew about the difficulty of the procedures and the laws related to the company, so I came up with this method. If Tom changed his heart and worked seriously and was accepted by all employees, only then would we begin the legal procedures. Conversely, if Tom was deemed unfit to be the president, the plan was to either to dismiss him or close the company, with Kelly and the site manager preparing to start a new company. Kelly didn't think Tom's personality would change. The chairman and Catherine had believed in Tom until the end, but it seems they were awakened when Tom unjustly dismissed me.
If you want to be an entrepreneur, study hard and take care of your employees. I told you many times. It's not a big deal, isn't it? We can just do the procedures now, right? No, it's impossible. You see, our company gives company stock to employees who desire it, and most of them have it. Emily owns 10%, so she's a major shareholder in our company. We can't ignore Emily's opinions, and the other employees who own company stock will certainly not side with you.
Gradually absorbing the situation, the president's face turns pale.
What? But I have stocks too, right? 0. I was planning to give you my shares once you truly became president. I'm deeply disappointed in you. You were only after my wealth, thinking that I have only a little time left. Weren't you?
The chairman slumps in despair, and Catherine also falls silent with a sad look on her face. The president brazenly retorts,
Huh! Of course, I'm the eldest son. What's wrong with taking what I can get? The company is mine.
I couldn't forgive him any longer. No, that's not correct. The chairman holds full responsibility as the representative director of the company. Plus, I'm a shareholder. I can request a shareholders' meeting and seek the president's dismissal. Understanding the word dismissal, the president turns pale rapidly.
You mean I might get fired? Damn, weren't you just an office worker? Tom, Emily is right. Now that things have come to this, no one will stand by you. Only Emily spoke up to give you a chance.
Catherine then opens her mouth. Emily, I truly owe you an apology. I'm sorry for causing you trouble out of love for my son. Please tell me what you'd like to do. I look at the president. President, I don't want to work under you anymore, so I'll quit right now. However, I will take my severance pay, and I want you to pay my 1 month's salary, including unpaid overtime and holiday work. I will also report to the Labor Standards Office, and as a shareholder, I will fight thoroughly to remove anyone harmful to the company. As I smile and speak, the president turns from pale to completely white. I go on to tell about how Kelly had been visiting clients and successfully promoting our new company. Most clients have given up on our current company and have decided to switch to the new one. Almost all of our employees are also planning to move to the new company.
That's impossible. I'll sue you.
The president threatens, almost in tears, but the chairman dismisses him.
I am the representative director. You have no such rights.
Then the president can no longer stand and collapses to his knees. I feel indescribable. Mr. President, it's a shame that this happened. If you had changed your attitude when you returned, it wouldn't have come to this. There were many chances to understand if he had repeatedly tried, researched, and studied. The one who squandered the opportunity was none other than the president himself, a complete case of reaping what he sowed. Later on, eventually, the chairman closed down the company, and Tom became unemployed. The president's wife started selling corrective underwear, but it didn't sell at all. They were reported for malicious door-to-door sales and were eventually arrested for pyramid scheming. When Kelly returned to her parents' house for an errand, there seemed to be several boxes left filled with the forceful underwear. The daughter seems to have found employment at another company, though the details are unknown. I now work at Kelly's and the site manager's new company, and I can work happily every day. I want to continue to cherish my relationships with people and live sincerely.